Welcome back to Cove Street Boatworks. I'm going to do a really short episode today on my disaster, my failure at doing an on-site boat inspection. I really underestimated the production aspects of this. I went up there, I pretty much knew what I wanted to do in terms of technology. I was going to have a 2-camera shoot. I was going to have one camera, my A7 IV on a tripod. I was going to have my FX-3 on a gimbal. I was going to use that for all the handheld shots. I have Tentacle Sync time code for both of them, and I use a Tentacle Sync Track E to do the recording of the voice. I had 2 Tentacle Sync Track E's, so I had, you know, the owner that was there with me and myself. I was going to use that to record our vocals through a Sanken COS 11D microphone. But I have never done that before. And the complexity of the constraint of the location and the really odd lighting that I had to deal with, it overwhelmed me. It really did. I was trying to get in and out of there really quick. I made a 10 o'clock in the morning appointment to meet the owner and his son. They were going to take me into the boathouse. We were going to review the history of the boat. The boathouse was really, really tiny, and it had these little tiny concrete ledges all the way around it, which were, you know, had tires on it for bumpers for the hull and everything. It wasn't clear. The background was very, very bright. It was very bright in the day, and the boathouse had a garage door that came down just to the top of the deck of the boat that was sticking out. So the only lights I had were Aperture Amaran P60Cs. I had 2 of them driven by V-mount batteries. And they worked really well inside the boathouse, but obviously there wasn't enough output from those lights to overcome the background intensity. So the contrast was really sharp, and I couldn't get a good exposure unless the camera was facing away from the outside, from the end of the boat, and looking back into the boathouse. And then those 2 LED panels, they did a pretty good job, and I could get a fairly good balance. But that put my camera like 50 feet away from me. You know, with a 24-70 lens, I was able to go to the 70 and sort of zoom in on us, but I didn't have any video transmission equipment. So I had a little 5-inch, you know, Atomos monitor hung on the camera, and I'm across the boathouse on the other side, and I couldn't see if things were in focus or not. I just had no idea. I was praying that eye tracking was working, but again, you're going back and forth, you're setting your white balance with a target, and I think I may have hit cancel tracking when I was trying to find the target. So it looked perfectly, you know, like it was tracking the owner's face and everything, but by the time I get around to the other side of the boathouse and started shooting, it was tracking one of the straps right in front of the camera, and we were out of focus for the whole time. And because I didn't have any kind of video transmission equipment, I didn't have anything close enough to me to understand that it was not tracking, we were out of focus. So I shot the whole beginning part of the interview without it being in focus. It was a waste of time. The audio came out great, but the video was terrible. So lesson number 1, you know, do either location scouting so you understand what the demands are going to be. I never did any location scouting. I walked into this cold, and I'm used to working in an environment like this where I have a stable environment to work in, and I can take my time, and I can think about lighting placement. And I have a lot of lights in here, so I can make do with this stuff. But in the field, I was just overwhelmed. I was completely unprepared for this, and I feel really bad because the owner spent a lot of time with me, and the quality of the footage I shot was not good. I'm glad I wasn't being paid for it because I would have been in big trouble. So lessons learned, you know, and I'm definitely going to approach it differently when I go and do the next one. And I am going to do another one because I think I have a lot to learn about doing remotes. It's an entirely different mindset. So like I said, fortunately I wasn't paid for this because obviously I'm not ready to do paid video production on site. I was really shocked at what a different game it is than shooting in a shop like this. This is pretty straightforward and pretty calm, and I can work at my own pace. But when you're in the field and you're working with a bunch of people and you're trying to do an interview and you're a one-man band, it's a whole different game. So my apologies to the owners of the boat that we did, and I hope I was able to piece enough of the interview and enough of the video together to make it worthwhile for them. I certainly learned a lot, and Hopefully the next one I do is going to be 4 steps up. Thank you. We'll see you next episode.